doesn't hurt more than a broken bone.
Oh my gosh,
Fracture.
it was horrible.
It's horrible.
It's horrible.
Yeah. I had one hematoma, deep bone bruise in my thigh once.
Yeah.
Dude, I'm not kidding. My whole leg looked like that.
Really?
Yeah, because it all drains down in your leg. It can clot. It's actually kind of dangerous.
Yeah, well, I can tell you the story of my freaking, my injury on that. Oh, dude, it was terrible. And I heard it, she was like pushing me on the little freaking kiddie deal because I'm terrible at skating. And I get up and I'm like, nah, I can do this. And I get around like twice. And I turned to like laugh at Jackson for me like making it around despite them talking.
Yeah.
And as soon as I turned, dude, I freaking this foot goes flying up in the air. This one doesn't move. Like the pick on the front of my skate.
Yeah.
Like caught.
Toe pick.
Dude, I fell back. I felt my knee pop. I thought I blew my knee out. Sure. And I couldn't. I'm like sweating. I'm crawling off the ice. There's all these kids going by. Yeah. One kid like hits me in the side. So it's like completely embarrassing because I fall like the way I did. I know it looked ridiculous.
Right.
And Sarah's like laughing, but trying to not laugh because she don't know if I'm hurt or not. And then I'm crawling to get off the ice and this freaking kid can't stop and hits me in the side. So I'm like, dude
those things are dangerous actually. Like the public skates can be dangerous.
Oh, it was terrible. I was just like, this is a horrible idea. And then we went skiing for the first time in my life. Like 2 weeks later, I seriously was having a hard time walking around.
Oh, dude, I believe it.
It was awful. And
then
I was worse skiing than I was at snow skating or at skating. So
sure.
I can't risk the knees anymore.
Oh, dude, no.
Snowboarding from here on out.
Yeah. Well, dude, I was terrible at snowboarding too.
Oh, well, I can't.
Well, snowboarding, you break your tailbone. Just learning, right?
It was horrible. I got lost down Sarah's real good at skiing, and my kids just picked it up like it was no problem. They go taking off, and I'm like trying to keep up. And I thought, I'm going to take this little shortcut because I think it comes around. So I go down this other path. Then I got completely lost, and there's like all these people flying down, and I'm like terrified. It took me like 3 hours to get down the freaking mountain. I'm like, dude, I would bite it. The sheet knows I'd bite it. And start sliding. I'm like sliding head first. And I remember thinking, well, my board should like catch the snow and stop me. And it didn't. It was horrible, dude. I hated it.
I'm looking forward to going snowboarding here in the next month, so.
You're going snowboarding?
Oh yeah, we got Bogus Basin right there.
I'm not.
Cool.
I don't ever want to do it again.
You know what's pretty crazy is people spend, it's not like a cheap thing to go do.
Yeah.
And like, you'll like torture yourself going to ski. It's like, why did I do this?
That's literally how I felt. And I got back and I saw this like, I'm sure Instagram and all these listen to you. So I'm like, I'm sure it heard her talking about me being basically like handicapped, trying to go down the mountain. And then they hear me talking about it. I see this one video and it was this dude like, oh yeah, just loved my ski trip. It cost me like $450 a day to do this. And I feel like I get hit by a dump truck afterwards, dude. It's like, this is the worst freaking thing to ever pick up and start doing. Like,
dude, that's how I felt about F1. I went to F1 at Coda for the first time like 3 weeks ago. Now, it was one of my best friend's birthdays. He was like, hey, I'm going. Do you want to go? And I was like, dude, you've been there for all my destination birthdays. Like, I'm in. It sounds like a great idea. Let's do it. And he was like, cool, we're getting GA tickets. And I was like, okay, I don't know what that means. Let's do it. Let's go do GA tickets. So it takes you like 2 hours to get in to Coda, right? Because there's traffic. There's no they have not redone the roads or anything. You're in the middle of nowhere. You get there. You're fighting a crowd of 500,000 people over the course of 3 days.
Dude.
Right? You're in the sun. So you get a GA ticket, you don't have a seat. You're just like sitting on the grass. And I was like, how does something bad a thing?
Yeah.
But then you're there. This is not like a sporting event where you're there for like an hour and a half and then you leave.
Stuck.
You're there for like 8 hours.
Oh my gosh.
Right? And you're like sitting there, the sun's beating down, there's crowds.
Right.
You can't go to the restroom, the food's terrible. And then we went for 3 days.
Oh my gosh.
So after the first day, we're like, okay, let's go buy seats. So we go and get seats, but then we're carrying on these heavy ass seats in addition to all this stuff. And we're like, this is not it. And so he goes, all right, I found us some tickets. And I was like, okay. And he was like, it's going to cost us a little bit. And I was like, I don't care how much it is. And he was just like, okay. And so he like sent me the bill. And I was like, oh God, this was like this was a really nice like trip to Hawaii.
Right. For me to sit down.
But it was worth having like seats in the shade for but F1 is one of those sports, in my opinion, it's just better to watch it on TV.
Yeah.
There you go.
Better to watch it on TV. Because here's the thing. You're like, oh man, I paid all this money for the seats, and it goes, and you're like, all right, well, I got to wait another minute and a half for them to come back
for
around.
another one. I'll tell you, that's a great segue into what we can talk about with Barry, because you played in the AHL hockey for a long time, but that's one sport I think is definitely better watching live than
It is. I've seen the Penguins play a few times.
Yeah, very cool. Yeah, man. I played for 8 years professionally. Started out at the AA level, East Coast Hockey League, it's called. Actually played in the All-Star game, the East Coast Hockey League All-Star game my first season. And eventually, my second season, I got called up to the AHL. Ended up spending most of my career in the AHL after that. Was supposed to go to camp with the Colorado Avalanche back in, I think it was 2012 as a lockout year. So I actually stuck around in the AHL that season, and but didn't get to go to camp with the Avalanche, which was sad. Sad for me because they were one of my favorite teams as a kid, and I live in Colorado now. But a couple years later, I went to camp with the Pittsburgh Penguins. Both years they won the Stanley Cup, and
that's freaking cool.
That was a cool experience. To be on the ice and compete against Sidney Crosby, Evgeny Malkin, and some of these guys, the best players in the world.
Yeah.
And a lot of my buddies won Stanley Cup, so I actually went to one of my buddies' Stanley Cup parties up outside Edmonton.
Yeah.
And you go to this town he grew up in, it's like 6,000 people. And you go to this parade, there's 12,000 people at the parade.
Yeah, that's
So
crazy, yeah.
it's up in this small town in Canada. And, we're playing drinking games on the Stanley Cup. And
That's awesome. Dude.
And
that's awesome.
yeah, it's just is a cool experience. It was a lot of fun playing hockey for 8 years and being able to make a living from it.
How good, golf is one thing that I've noticed when I go watch Shell Open or Houston Open or whatever now, where I'm like, holy cow, these dudes are so freaking good when you because you play it, right? I'll play golf and then I go see them and I'm like, oh, geez, this is freaking wild.
Only difference is that whenever you get done playing golf, you try to go beat up comedians after.
Yeah, no, my bad. That's a private story. That's B-roll. That's B-roll footage.
Private story. Okay.
I had a couple drinks and I decided the dude was little. I don't know, whatever.
He's blowing up now.
He is. He was blowing up all over the place.
He's done
and
really well for himself.
Oh yeah, I tried to fight that dude after.
That's awesome.
At least that's what Jake tells me that I try to fight this dude. I don't know if it's true. There's probably some other witnesses.
Well, you don't remember it for a reason.
Yeah. I had a preseason game once with Pittsburgh. We're playing in Chicago, and I was like the extra guy, so take warm-ups, if someone gets hurt in warm-ups. So I'm like, well, should I hurt somebody in warm-ups? Do I just fire a bunch of pucks? These guys are turning the corner, and maybe they catch one, and they're out, so I can play, but
to get in,
to play a preseason game. So I get it, man.
Yeah,
I get it. I couldn't just fight somebody in warm-ups.
Right.
Yeah. Maybe I should have.
It might be a bad look. But how good is Sidney Crosby?
Yeah.
And compare when you see him play, but then he went and practiced.
When you're on the ice, man, those guys are in a league of their own. Yeah. You can be a professional, and then those guys are masters.
Yeah.
It's hard to describe to people. I remember one time he comes down the ice. I watch him cut to the middle, and he's going cross ice, and he shoots it on his backhand away from where he's skating to, which is hard
to do.
And he just puts it right off the post and in, and it's harder than I shoot the puck normally, So it's wow.
Yeah, it's funny the different level they end up getting to. It's golly, man. I wish I could have seen Tiger Woods in his prime, just because.
Jordan in his prime.
Jordan in his prime, man.
Yeah.
We were talking about Jordan on we had the Dallas Sidekicks. It's a minor league soccer team here in Dallas. The owner was on last, and he brought up Michael Jordan. It's that dude may be the only dude, not the only dude, but for him, who's he's the GOAT to me.
Yeah.
But he may be a better businessman than he is basketball player. It's pretty wild when you think.
There's only a handful of people that I think that if every evolution of their life, they've outdone themselves. And so they started off with I think Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Yeah, right.
Took it out of my mouth.
And then goes into movies and then beats himself again and then goes into politics and it's was also successful. Then goes back to movies and is
it's
still a
incredible.
legend. Yeah, it's Yeah, but yeah, with like Jordan owning a NASCAR team, and then he's owned a couple
NBA teams. Well, and I was saying too,
the Jordan brand.
The Jordan brand's incredible. Like, he made more money over the last several years, more money than Steph Curry from his apparel, right? So all those guys got shoe deals, but Steph Curry, LeBron, KD, James Harden, like he's made more than all of them combined.
Wow.
Still, he's been retired for like 20 years. And it's like, dude, and it's not even really that close. It's remarkable what he does. And I'm just like, golly, Michael Jordan's incredible just in every way.
I saw the tail end of his career. I was a little too young to like know
that was
his kind of heyday. But I'm reading Phil Jackson's 11 Rings right now.
Yeah.
And he's talking about kind of exactly what you just mentioned, that like everybody, all of his teammates, like Michael was the GOAT, right? And like even his teammates were like intimidated just by like how good.
Right. And just how, like, there's some people that just have a different level of like attitude and like mentality and expectations from other people that are going to be around them. It's just like, man, you don't want to disappoint them, and you have this level of like reverence for them that, you know, even if you don't like them, it's just one of those things where you're like, I don't want to disappoint this dude. And
but you see that with like all of the kids.
Yeah, you do.
It's a kind of a double-edged sword.
Right. Yeah, remember like Dwight Howard couldn't cut it with Kobe because he just couldn't handle it. And
it's that Mamba mentality.
Yeah, that's right.
That's what gets me in trouble in pickleball.
Is the Mamba mentality? That's how these bruises happen.
That's how I got hurt.
It just gets crazy. I just sprint and dive for a ball when I'm playing just casually with.
Leave it all out there, man.
I earned a lot of respect that day, though.
I bet.
Let me tell you.
Every time we open a group text now, like Sarah pinned it to the top of her messages, so when she opens it, it's Jake's butt right there.
Just right there.
It's just freaking in all its glory.
Competitive nature, man. I love it. I love it.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
But yeah, all right, give back.
How do we bridge the gap between professional hockey and
Bitcoin,
dirty coin, and Bitcoin, everything else you're doing? Walk us through how do we get here?
Sure. So I've been through a lot in the last couple of years, and I'm all about right now just finding authenticity, because I think that's the most powerful way to succeed as a human being is finding your true passion, what you really love, and contributing that to the world. And when I look back, I've just always like loved investing. You know, when I was 16, I remember in my social studies class, we had like this stock picking assignment. And I like opened the newspaper, you know, and I'm like looking at stocks, and I was like, wait a minute, you can like invest in companies and make money?
Yeah.
Like that, it just seemed like incredible to me. I was like, wow, this is really cool. So I did the assignment, and I just recognized like, oh, I really like this investing stuff. Like, what other stuff can I invest in, you know? So as I moved into college, I went to study finance, and I got a scholarship to play hockey at UMass Lowell. And, you know, I'm in school, and I started in 2006 and I graduated in 2010. So it's the middle of the whole real estate crisis. So I'm at school during all that, and I'm like, wait a minute, this real estate crisis doesn't like totally make sense.
Yeah.
Like what is actually going on here? It feels like people are getting screwed. Like the banks are just, you know, taking over. They're bailing out the banks. They're just printing money to do all this. Well, let me make sense of all this, right? So I started in 2008, 2009 to kind of go down the rabbit hole of like, what is money?
Yeah, right.
And
dang, I wish I would have done it back then.
Same.
Man, well, it's a deep rabbit hole.
Yeah.
You know?
Oh, no, I've went down it. I just went down it when I was a lot older.
Sure.
Unfortunately.
Yeah, but I kind of started that and graduated in 2010, and at some point in 2010, or not 2010, sorry, 2011, I got really far down the rabbit hole. And I found actually Max Kaiser, and he was talking about Bitcoin like when it was like $1.
Yeah,
you know?
right.
And I was like, Bitcoin, what is this? And I kind of like asked people like in my circle, like, hey, have you heard of this Bitcoin thing? And no one really knew about it in my circles. And you know, I just graduated college. I go off to play professional hockey. I like get my first paycheck, $450 a week, you know, playing ice hockey, and I'm like, all right, my mission is to make it to the NHL. Like, here we go. And so I wasn't like solely focused on money and Bitcoin, et cetera, but I'm riding buses, I'm flying on planes. I got a lot of spare time. Guys will joke, like in professional hockey, at least probably professional sports, like, oh man, I could probably have my PhD in the time I like
on the bus,
ride the bus or plane everywhere.
Yeah.
And so I read a lot of books, you know, listened to a lot of content and podcasts, and I kind of followed Bitcoin from there, and went on Coinbase in like 2012 and tried to buy, like, set up an account and everything, and Bitcoin was like $7. And I was like, why wouldn't you just, like, I had like no money, right? I was like, but why wouldn't you just buy 100 of these things for like, you know, $700?
Yeah.
Asked my dad about it and my brother, and I had like trouble setting my account. I couldn't set up. I was like, it must be a scam.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
And so I kept learning about it. And then in 2013, it kind of hit me, and I called it like the cryptiphany, the crypto epiphany. And I know now there's a difference between Bitcoin and crypto.
But it's part of the journey, dude.
It's part of the journey. But back then, this is just cryptocurrency and FXRP.
Right.
Back then, at a certain point, it was kind of like
XRP was like
FXRP. He was a bad guy, and you know, Bitcoin and crypto was cool. But 2013, I kind of like clicked, like, holy shit, this stuff is like, Bitcoin is priceless. And I felt like I kind of understood Bitcoin on a deep level, and I like couldn't buy enough of it. And so for me, while I was playing hockey and trying to make it to the NHL, I was still learning about Bitcoin and money, and just learning a lot about investing. You know, investing in itself is a whole profession, and there's a lot of, I think we see it a lot with Bitcoin, where people learn these painful lessons about investing in these bull markets we have. You know, we have these bubbles and crashes, and people like might end up making a lot of money and losing it all. And so you learn about sort of the psychology of investing. But that's really what I'm passionate about. And it was fun to go on that ride while playing hockey. I shared just Bitcoin with a lot of hockey guys, and it was always like talk to the locker room in a bull market, you know, and always kind of like, oh, is the Bitcoin guy in the bear market, you know. It's like, I lost like, you know, $10,000, thanks, bud, you know.
Oh yeah, no, I hate hearing that too all the time. That's another one I was talking about. I was like, the change in the conversations they've gotten so predictable now, because now all of a sudden now people are asking questions, what about Bitcoin? You know, and it's like, oh, because it's popped. I sold some one time. I was in Belize. This is right when COVID was going down, and I don't know if you remember, it was at like $9,000.
Sure.
And it tanked. It started tanking anyway. And I'd been drinking all day. I was like, I know what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna sell right now, and then I'm gonna buy it all back. If it goes to this, I'll buy more. So I'm watching it, and I had it right. I watched all the way down to, I think it got down to like $3,500, $3,700. And I was like, oh man, it's gonna go to 1,000. But I had looked at it at, I think it was 3,700. Sean was like,
COVID.
This is COVID. And I'm like, it's gonna go down further. Next thing, and I was like, I'm gonna just keep watching and wait. So I just lay there. And next thing I know, it's the morning. And I'm like, oh crap. First I pulled up, it popped back up to like $7,500. And I'm like, no, I missed it totally. And I'm like, okay, it'll come back down a little bit. And I wait, you know, it goes back up to like 9 something else. So I buy back in, but it's like, golly, man.
Man, well, you are one of my favorites. I got to tell this story. Shout out to you. We were on a call talking about some mining deal, and I don't know, this is maybe 2 years ago or so, whenever Bitcoin literally bottomed out, okay? We're on a call, and you're kind of like, oh man, Bitcoin's really crashing today. And literally on our call, Bitcoin is just like tanking. It's just capitulation. Hits 15 something. Yeah. And Justin's like, man, this is the bottom. I'm going to call, like, he's like, this has to be the bottom. He's like, I'm calling this. This is the bottom. And
it was the bottom.
You called it. It was the bottom. So you were one of my people. Like, I'm gonna be like, hey, Justin, where do you think we are right now in Bitcoin? Because dude,
Bottom again today.
I know.
I'll take it at 94, whatever.
I hope it's the bottom.
I got back in after that in a big way at 17.5. But man, you called the bottom, so I have to give you a shout.
Well, thanks, man. I appreciate it.
That was cool.
I wish I had more money then to put more into it, but
sure.
I can call it when I don't have any money.
Yeah.
It's when I got something, when I'm screwed all up.
The emotions, the emotion. Yeah.
But yeah, it was okay. So you were playing hockey. That's when you kind of started getting into it. At what point did you realize it's like, man, it goes from like, this is a great investment opportunity to like, this is kind of don't like putting things I don't like talking about Bitcoin like it's like God.
Sure.
But it went from being, this is a good investment to like, this is a way of life for me of what I want. This is where I think I'm going to put my time and energy and store value over here, as opposed to like looking at it like another stock or something like that.
Yeah. Well, I remember in late 2013 when Bitcoin started to run, it started to run away, and I was like, I started to get like mad almost. I was like, I don't have enough.
I know, dude.
And I was like, I don't have enough. And like I sent in this order to Coinbase, like Bitcoin's running up, it was like $400. Back then, it's like, oh, it's gonna take a couple days. It took a couple days to buy your Bitcoin, and like they messed something up, and like the order didn't go through. And like Bitcoin kept running. And I like sent him the nastiest email message. I was like, are you kidding me? Bitcoin's freaking priceless. It could go to 1 million by, next week. And you messed up my order. Like I was losing it in this email.
While you're on the bus to Omaha, right?
Yeah. And I was just like livid. And I was like, I don't know. It's kind of crazy when you think about it, because I think all it says is when you really understand Bitcoin, you like truly understand it's priceless.
You're right.
And eventually we will all find out like the true value and price of Bitcoin. I think it's north of $1 million. And you hear people like Max Kaiser and Michael Saylor, wax on about it. But I don't know. It was kind of then that I was like, wow, I'm like maybe too tied to this emotionally, very passionate about this, obviously. And so I just recognized then that I was like, I really love this. And I'm still trying to pursue my goal and dream of playing the NHL. But I think when I'm done, I want to try to get into Bitcoin and crypto somehow. I want to get started. What's really hard is when you are an athlete, all I did from the time I was 7 till I was 32, 33 is I played hockey. Yeah. And I got my education and everything, but I didn't have a lot of real world experience in like a corporate environment, right, or even maybe a startup company or whatever it may be. I did actually start an Amazon FBA business. I actually sold like youth hockey sticks. It was a cool side business. It was like nothing big, but 6 figures in sales, and while I was playing.
Yeah. This guy is freaking overachiever. That's awesome.
I had this. Yeah, I always had this kind of entrepreneurial pursuit, but it's I don't know. Following Bitcoin, I was like, well, I know I want to try to be in this when I'm done with hockey. I ended up retiring from hockey in 2018. Kind of tough for me. Just concussion stuff. Kind of went through a dark time for a little bit, but came out of that. Met Blake, one of my former partners there with Merkle Mountain, and we basically tried to get into mining, which might be an interesting conversation because you guys have seen a lot with this.
In relation to Merkle Standard or no?
No relation to Merkle Standard. And since I've given up on trying to start a mining company.
For now,
we'll see. I think I'm really passionate about investing. I've had the most success as an investor, and that's what I'm gonna continue to do. Yeah. And so we'll see. But a lot of respect for these people who start mining companies, who are mining. A lot of respect for you guys putting these deals together like you do, Justin. Yeah. And I don't know as much about you, Jake. I've obviously seen this podcast and Digital Wildcatters and such. But for someone, I guess for people out there, you may understand a lot about Bitcoin, but that doesn't necessarily make you good at mining. Like you need to understand energy. Yeah. You have to, you're running a business, it's a commodity business. So there's a lot that goes into that.
It's a commodity business built on the other commodities impact it completely. So
exactly.
It can be very tough.
Yeah.
Because you get a lot of different things that can move in opposite directions. And it's like, oh my gosh, this is like a double whammy, but.
Totally. So I guess in my experience, a lot of it was talking to folks in the oil and gas industry, and actually talked to, we signed NDAs and such, so I can't name, but like some big operators, like family operators in the oil and gas business, and multi-billion, and kind of like orange pill them, right? And it's like, hey, you all should consider mining Bitcoin, and this is why. And look, you have the energy expertise. My partner and I, we have a lot of knowledge about Bitcoin, and we can help you set up your mines and let's mine. And I think one of them might actually be mining now. Which,
really good. Yeah.
I mean, it's good and
It's
bad.
good and bad, right?
I guess, you didn't have to have me or us, but, probably could have helped.
Right. It would have been cool if you
would have been cool.
worked with us.
Yeah, and it would have got us off the ground and running with it. But, that's okay. That's okay.
Yeah, there's different paths, man.
Yeah.
Different paths. But you also have, and not to spend too much time on it, but in addition to being an AHL athlete, you're freaking American Ninja Warrior over here.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. This dude was American Ninja Warrior.
Was this you saw it on TV and you're like, oh, I could do that?
Dude, it's crazy. So I started watching when I was like 18. It was like on the G4 network. It was in Japan. It's in Japanese. It's dubbed, like subtitles and stuff. And I was like, wow, this is so cool. Like, if this ever comes to America, I'm going to go on that show.
That's awesome.
So, yeah,
I like the visualizing what you want, man.
Yeah.
We can talk about other stuff too after this.
Did you legit train for it, or did you just come in and just raw dog this thing? And you're like, I could do it.
Dude, when you go on TV and do it, you don't want to just raw dog it. No, it's actually pretty intimidating. Like I did train for it for like a year. I wish. What kind of got me is there is definitely a lot of technical skill to it, not just necessarily strength. Like the best ninjas are rock climbers and probably gymnasts. And where I kind of excelled was in my balance, because something funny about, I don't know, being a rock climber, you just maybe don't balance on stuff a whole lot, unless maybe you're slacklining or something. But I was like, well, I know I can crush the balance. When I first got into it, I thought my arms were going to rip off because, I've separated my shoulders so many times playing hockey. I was like, hang from one arm like this. This is painful.
It's actually way harder than you think. I remember I hopped on because I was taking my kids to the park and I'm like, oh, I can do monkey bars. And I hop on there and I'm like, oh my God.
Oh, totally.
This is so much harder than I remember.
Man, American Ninja Warrior is super fun. It's really hard to get on the show. You make an application, a video application, you submit it. I was blessed and cursed in getting on. I got on in the COVID season. So this was 2020. They had it in St. Louis indoors at the arena there. And usually they have 600 people on the show and film it in different segments across the country outdoors. They film it indoors, 120 of the best ninjas. And so I had my one buddy I met who was a ninja all-star. His name's Jake Murray. Been on the show 6-7 times. He kind of took me under his wing. I trained with him. And my other friend who had been on the show as well, his name's Ballard Copeland, helped me train for it. But I didn't quite have all the technical skill I wanted when I got on. And not only that, but Jake was like, dude, you're going to have to kind of go faster the course if you want to keep going. So I blitzed the first stage. Man, I had one of the fastest times. I'm on the 5th obstacle. It's called the Ferris wheel. I climb up this thing. I go down the other side. It drops real far. I hang on. And I go to reach the other Ferris wheel ledge and I'm like, oh, that's far away.
That's a long way.
I was hanging on this thing. I'm like, oh man, I can't not pass stage 1. And so I go to reach out and I grab the wrong side of it and I just dump in the water. I was like, oh, all my life dreams just came crashing down in that moment.
How frustrating is that?
It's so frustrating.
At the moment,
dude.
too, you've been training for a year. It's gosh, dude.
I'd wanted to go on this thing for 15 years now at this point. And I was just crushed. But Jake actually got first on the first stage and I was on his team. So that actually got me through to the second stage.
Okay.
And the second stage, I got past the warp wall. It's the 6th obstacle. I get to the 8th obstacle. It's called the corkscrew. And I get up to the first one. It drops 4 feet and spins, tries to throw you off. And then I look at the next one. I'm like, wait a minute.
That's really far away too.
That's really far away too. It's called lashaying when you swing from one bar to the next, but I've never gone up. So it's I'm hanging on this thing here and I got to go over 3-4 feet and up 3 feet. I think it was over 4 feet, up 3 feet. I was like, dude, this doesn't happen.
This is such a weird thing to train for. There's probably not many gyms where you can go and train for these things, right?
No, I wouldn't think, huh? You probably got to make a course.
Actually, Ninja has grown a lot. And actually, I promise you there's multiple gyms here in Dallas Fort Worth.
Wow.
There's one down by where I used to live because my son would go to it. And I mean, they had a kids one and an adult one. It went out of business during COVID.
Gotcha.
But I tried doing it too. Sometimes I'm like, dude, this is freaking brutal.
It is brutal.
It's brutal. And it does. It's one where you're like, I could do that. Oh, I was just showing like, I could do that. And
Yeah,
I'm like,
it is.
I can't do that. I can't do it at all.
That's what will get you. That's why you want to go on. It's like, oh, I could do that. You know, the couch pro.
Yeah. But
Yeah.
I'm a very good couch ninja warrior.
Yeah.
But all right. So yeah, that's some of the background stuff. But then how did you get hooked up? We've talked about Dirty Coin on here. We've had Alana on here. I think the documentary is phenomenal, and that's not just because we were in it, but it is.
It's part of it, but
It's part of it. Yeah. I mean, I think it'd be even more phenomenal if there was like a re-edit and it was just us talking the whole time. But
I agree. You know, maybe a little more you guys.
a little
chime.
more us.
Yeah, a little more you.
Bets, but
I'll relay that to a lot.
yeah, like
sequel.
the unedited version. Yeah.
Sure.
Just be us shooting the shit the whole time.
Yeah.
Nobody watches it.
Yeah, nobody will watch it. I'm like,
people.
what is this? Or my mom will be like, oh, it's great. It's the best movie ever made.
I love it.
But how did you guys get together?
Yeah.
Because you're invested in movies, right?
Yes, a little bit. So in 2021, I'd start as an investor. I started to have more success. You know, I'm early to cryptocurrency, and I'm researching ways like, well, how can I strategize for taxes, and how do you just go down this other rabbit hole of like, okay, what do you do with some of these problems here? And so my CPA introduced me to the 181 tax strategy. This has been audited by the IRS. And essentially, it's a sort of tax deferral strategy where you invest in films. And actually, a lot of films are financed in this way.
Yeah.
If you look at, like, let's say, a lot of films are filmed in Georgia, the state, and that's for tax credit purposes. And so we actually received some tax funding for Dirty Coin through Puerto Rico through the tax credit system. To create the documentary. Yeah. So that's kind of how I got started and involved with it. And the films that
But how did you meet her? Like, how did you know it was being made?
Right. So I started with the tax strategy film stuff in 2021. Fast forward, let's see, January, I think, end of 2022, I met Alana. I can't remember through who necessarily, but I met her at a conference or through a mutual someone, and I just really loved what she was doing because I was just tired of seeing like the documentaries about criminals or the documentaries about who is Satoshi, or like just kind of these, they don't really add value for society. And it just kind of gets old. It's like, I don't want to watch this. Let's put these criminals in jail. Like, why are these people doing, like, how are they getting away with it?
It's like you love the art of the documentary, but you don't like the subjects that it's being made about, right?
Yeah.
It's never like feel-good stuff. It's just like,
Right.
Exactly.
I learned a lot, but I didn't really want to learn about
Right. And it perpetuates the whole, like, Bitcoin's bad stuff. You know what I mean? Or Bitcoin's shady characters. And like,
Yes.
Dude, how many times, I'm sure you guys have been asked too, like, oh, SBF, what about that? And it's like, dude, it has nothing to do with Bitcoin. You
Exactly.
know what I mean? That's a criminal. That's
Right.
They do that. There's criminals that work in the fiat world that do the exact same thing. The government protects them most of the time. But anyway,
No, totally. And so I wanted, just talking to people about Bitcoin for almost a decade at that point, I was just like, a lot of people don't understand mining.
Right.
And you are going to address this. Perfect.
Yeah.
Like, I want to support you, let's do this because I'm sick of all this other crap.
Yeah.
And so I really appreciate like your guys' compliments on the film. I think it was Dennis Porter, Satoshi Action Fund. I think he said on Twitter, like, this is the most important Bitcoin documentary ever made. We just had a screening in Denver at the Space, like the new Bitcoin co-working space, and the Denver Citadel. Right. And Compass Mining sponsored that. And Jarrett Carpenter from Compass said, like, hey, this is the equivalent of Saifedean's Bitcoin standard to mining.
Yeah.
And so really grateful for sort of those compliments. I mean, it says a lot about the film. And
Well, so I know you guys are still trying to find, like, I guess a deal. I don't know how it works totally, but like, HBO or Netflix or somebody to pick it up and I guess stream it consistently or put it in their, I don't know what it's called, rotation. Library, yeah.
Yeah.
How does that work? You guys
what's the process like?
Totally. So, I mean, what's funny is it's hard, like getting on a major streaming platform or a big deal. I mean, it's like making it to the NHL, right? Like that's the major leagues. And usually you'll work with a distributor. And to me, the industry is a lot about kind of who you know and who you can get in front of. And we just need to get the documentary in front of the right people, I think. Because the quality is there. I think the narrative and story is there for it. It just needs to get in front of the right people. And part of that too is in getting a film out there is you do the film festival circuit, right? So you enter film festivals, you kind of get it in front of people that way. The film's won awards.
I was gonna say it did well on some of these.
It's done well, and even Stranded won a ton of awards too. Our short film, but to come back, you have to get a distribution deal really, or a distributor to help you kind of close that deal.
Has that been progressing at all? Are you running into roadblocks?
Yeah. It has. We've met with some people, had some good conversations. It's super hard to get onto like a Netflix or HBO, etc.
Right.
That obviously would be the dream for Dirty Coin, to get it on a major streaming platform and get it out to the world. But we'll see how that goes.
Have you tried like National Geographic or anything?
No. Maybe we should look at trying to find them.
Like I was thinking about it, Discovery Channel. Yeah, some of those might be really good because it's such an educational film. Like Sarah, my wife, has watched it, and man, we watched another documentary about this family that adopted this like Ukrainian kid, and it turned out to be like a 26-year-old woman.
Oh, yeah, that was a wild show.
Yeah, it was crazy.
Oh, yeah, I remember that one.
But
that's a great one.
The thing is,
crazy.
Sarah turned it off because she's like, I can't stand to watch this show. Dirty Coin? She watched the whole thing.
Nice.
Yeah, so like right through, no problems.
Way to go, Sarah.
I'm like, if that's Sarah's stamp of approval is like, if you get 2 thumbs up from Sarah, that's a victory.
I love it.
But she brought up a point. It's so educational from like the standpoint of like combating the narrative that has kind of been like established for it. That it's something that like really legitimately should be shown at schools and universities, especially in my opinion, just because so much of what people believe about Bitcoin's dirty, it uses too much energy, yada yada, is purely from being uneducated and listening to others who they themselves are not educated. So I mean it is a phenomenally done movie, and I want to see it get on a major platform. But even if it doesn't get on a major platform, like how will people be able to watch it?
Yeah, absolutely. So we've been screening, and you can license a film and screen it at your location for an event or at a theater. And usually a sponsor will come in, put on an event, license the film, show it that way. I think your idea through universities is great. We've had a couple people film the documentary at their schools. It would be great to be a part of sort of a circuit or connect with someone who does that to get the film out there more. But it'll also just take like the grassroots movement of the Bitcoin community, right? If you are in Bitcoin, if you care about Bitcoin, let's talk to people about this documentary. In a little bit, you'll be able to rent it online.
Oh, really?
Probably, yeah.
Yeah, good.
And Alana kind of knows the details of, hey, if it's on dirtycointhemovie.com or what platform, like we'll facilitate that. We'll see. I got to talk to her, but
we'll pump that out for you.
Yeah,
pump it.
Yeah, pump it, dude.
Pump.
No, pump it.
That'd be great.
Yeah.
So it'll get out that way, and but there's still time, and part of the filming of the documentary was like, hey, let's make this come out in the bull market, and so far like we're on time with that.
Well, and you're on time with like it's weird when you do multiple shows in one day because you feel like you're saying the same thing sometimes. But
Sure.
like I've said this earlier today a couple of times, the political headwinds that we've faced for literally forever in Bitcoin are actually gone right now. And
Right.
doesn't mean they won't come back, but it does create an opportunity right now, at least at a minimum for the next 2 years, but more likely like at least the next 4, where we got to like really push and make some major moves and impact on every different area that Bitcoin touches, because we don't know when to get this type of environment ever again, right?
Absolutely.
Where you got an administration that is not only not an opponent, but an actual advocate and proponent of growth in our industry and like utilize like the messaging aspect of it. So like, man, I would reach out to some like conservative platforms right now if I was you guys, and like the Daily Wire type stuff and things like that. Is it Daily Wire? Is that the
absolutely
like Matt Walsh stuff? And all that? Some of those kind of groups, because whether we like it or not, I don't want Bitcoin to be like taken over by one ideology or the other, because I think it transcends all that. But at the same time, the reality is that, typically the hardcore left is not going to be, it doesn't matter what you say to them. They're delusional and
Let's
crazy.
flip the script. Let's think about this. What if this last administration was the last administration to not be Bitcoiners?
Yeah.
And moving forward, everybody, it's just.
Well, I hope.
We talk about this as it's kind of like a personal litmus test for me, whether that's good or bad, of like kind of a sign of intelligence.
Right.
And if you're not a Bitcoiner, it's like I kind of have a little bit of a hard time
like thinking you're
befriending you
smart.
and then putting you into like my friend
Right.
group, because it's like
I
such a
do.
qualifier at this point,
Very
right?
few people I interact with anymore, or unless it's family, but like my friends are Bitcoiners. Everybody. Like, it doesn't mean I don't have friends that aren't, but literally like the people I talk to day in and day out, you and my wife, and they're all Bitcoiners. Just so I agree. It's kind of hard to like. It's hard for me to like think you're a smart person if you're not a Bitcoiner at this point. Sorry, everybody. Just the truth.
I hear you.
Thankfully, our audience is 100% Bitcoiner, so we're safe.
No, yeah, that's true. No one who's not a Bitcoiner is listening.
Yeah. To your guys' point, though, the administration now under Trump is totally pro-Bitcoin. I mean, and it kind of makes you start to wonder, and I know the super cycle gets talked about at different times, but it's kind of like every cycle, it's like, well, is this going to be the super cycle, right? And I'm not sure yet, obviously, but it's kind of like when you start to get countries creating a Bitcoin strategic reserve, I mean, is that the point, especially when America comes in and does it, where it's kind of like, oh, we better get on board here.
This is exactly, again, what I was saying earlier today.
Yeah.
Everybody will have to.
Everybody will have to.
So then are we done with cycles? We posed the question in one of the earlier podcasts, and
I mean, it
I think
depends
the
on
big
what
swings are over.
Well, I don't necessarily think that, because I think your floor, as the market cap grows, I think it's going to be harder to move it the same way, except for there's a wild card here, which you touched on, right? But it's harder for the population, just from a capital standpoint, to move a $2 trillion market cap the same way you can move a $800 million market cap. And so I think it's going to be harder to have the crazy spikes, not yet, but down the road.
Sure.
But I also think you're going to raise the floor. Even though the poly market thing dropped its odds of a Bitcoin strategic reserve, it's still a legitimate discussion point. A year ago, even, we wouldn't be having that discussion. Like, not legitimately, you know what I mean? Now we are, and it's like, man, it only takes, the US does it. I think the hyper Bitcoinization kind of talk that people have, I think it happens. And I think it happens so faster than we could understand. Almost like the AI stuff, like we were talking about, with the growth from AI, regular AI, to getting to like the AGI, where it's like
inflection point.
Yes, and it just is going to go from, okay, here, it's 25% of a human being's capabilities, 50, 60, 70, 80. Now it's even with with human. It is just as good as a human.
Right.
ChatGPT is not just as good as a human yet. In some ways, it can do things faster than a human can, but it still relies on your input and all this stuff. But at the point where the AI transcends and it starts writing its own code and doing things to make itself better, you're going to see this explosion of growth of what it can do so fast. We won't even be able to comprehend how fast it goes.
Yeah, that's right.
I think, honestly, when Bitcoin hits that point where it's like, oh, you had every sovereign wealth fund and every government in the world saying we have to stack Bitcoin as much as possible, we won't be able to. We think this jump from 60 to 90 has been fast.
Right.
I don't think you're going to be able to keep up with what it'll do. I don't.
Totally possible. Yeah. And it kind of, Max Kaiser talks about the Bitcoin singularity, right? We're talking about AI. You reach this inflection point where you just get this exponential acceleration.
Right.
Totally possible and plausible. I mean, it's funny when you look at it, it's like first they laugh at you, then they fight you. Are we in the then they join you stage here?
I think they have to.
Yeah.
Like, what are they going to do? You don't have the House, you don't have the Senate, you don't have the presidency. Mm-hmm. Like, all three of those arms, legs, whatever you want to call it, are in one camp. And it is to enhance and further the kind of standing of Bitcoin in the economy.
Outside the purview of those is the Fed, which actually needs to be abolished.
Right, but I don't even know what they could do right now.
They're autonomous.
But what could they do to Bitcoin?
Bitcoin, probably nothing.
I don't think there's anything they do to them.
Can they buy it?
They can buy it.
Continue to print more money though.
Which is fine for me.
For Bitcoin, yeah.
Right. So it's like, you want to print more? Good for Bitcoin. You want to buy? Good for Bitcoin. Like, what are you going to do? I don't know what they're going to do to hurt it. And so it's exciting for me. I'm like,
it is totally exciting. And you also have Michael Saylor, his strategy with MicroStrategy. How killer is that?
This is our favorite topic.
I mean,
what's your thought? Yeah, we've been
let's not tell them anything.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts?
Yeah, what are your thoughts?
well, I actually brought this book here real quick. I
what
gotta
is it?
share. Okay, so this book is called The Lessons of History. Okay, and it basically takes it's by Will and Ariel Durant. Okay, like very well-known historians and writers of history. And the reason I bring this up, one of my favorite investors of all time, Jim Rogers. You can see him on Kitco now. Sometimes he's super old now, but.
I already know Barry knows what he's talking about because I don't know who any of these people are.
Well, you've heard of George Soros.
Yeah.
So Jim Rogers started the Quantum Fund with George Soros way back, and I'm pretty sure they're the guys who cornered the British sterling market, like made a ton of money. They basically made billions. Like,
right.
They
That's
like
how
blew up the
Soros
market.
made his money. It was currencies.
Yeah,
right?
and his partner was Jim Rogers.
Okay.
And Jim Rogers is also famous. He has a bunch of books. I think he has some Guinness World Records for like riding his motorcycle around the world. Jim Rogers
is George Soros without the evil.
He's on the good side.
Okay.
He's the good side.
Right. He's the good angel. George Soros is not.
He's not. And I don't know if he's as politically active as George Soros, but he's like a good guy.
Yeah.
Okay, and he's one of my favorite investors of all time. And he said, study history and philosophy if you want to be a good investor. Right.
Okay, yeah.
And so I really took that in. I study history a bit, but this book takes 5,000 years of human history and kind of like gives you like the golden nuggets.
Really?
Okay. And it's like barely, I think it's a little over 100 pages, but there's this excerpt in here I want to read real quick because it kind of speaks to the question at hand. And this is a little bit hard to follow at first here, but it says, the men who can manage men manage the men who can only manage things. Okay, so think of these as workers and managers. Okay? And the men who can manage money manage all. Okay? And then it goes, there's more, and then it says, perhaps it is one secret of their power, talking about the banks, the banksters, that having studied the fluctuations of prices, they know that history is inflationary and that money is the last thing a wise man will hoard. Now, money meaning currency, really, because throughout history, currencies blow up. Okay, now why do I share this quote in relation to Michael Saylor and MicroStrategies? Is because Michael Saylor is doing all these things from the quote. He is the workers, if you will, the people managing things, They're building software, etc. Okay, you know, you have the managers. Michael Saylor himself, he's the manager, CEO of the company. But what does he understand at the top of it all, and what is he implementing? He understands money. Right. And throughout history, it's the people who have understood money who manage all. Yeah. He who holds the gold makes all the rules. Okay, so that's what Michael Saylor's doing right now. Is he is becoming the man who manages the money. Right?
Yeah.
And he is using his company, his tools and workers to get as much dollars as he can and invest it in Bitcoin. Right? And so I think that's a cool take. I know it's a little complicated and complex there, but it's an interesting take on his strategy and what he's doing. And I think it's going to catch fire with companies because the stock has caught fire. And it's grown so much, like everyone's paying attention.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
And once I get my stockbroker, put it all back into Microsoft.
Put it all back in there. Yeah, we made a pact last night, and
we're irresponsible.
We're very irresponsible.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think that's a good place to be.
Yeah,
I'm not, you know.
I do too. And it's kind of one of those where it's like man, you're never going to get where you want to be just sitting on it. Literally read that parable. Jackson was reading that parable the other day.
He's exploiting the glitch in the money system. Yes. Right. So think about it. So Bitcoin goes up. MicroStrategy is just levered Bitcoin, right? With no fees. Right. And so that goes up. Bitcoin goes down. What happens? He buys more. Right. So then MicroStrategy goes back up. Bitcoin probably goes back up.
Yeah.
There's really is a no-lose situation. And I've thought about like, where does this really end if it ends?
Right.
Because, I mean, you can kind of model this thing out over time. This could go on infinitely.
Right.
Yeah. What he's also doing is Gresham's law. And this happens, it's when you hoard the good money and you spend the bad.
Oh, well,
Okay?
yeah, dude.
And so this happens in economies like, say, Argentina, where you have a inflationary or hyperinflationary currency. Like people are just trying to they'll spend that money they make to buy goods or whatever they need to survive. And they're also trying to hoard the good money with it and stash that away to save. Yeah. And that's what he's doing right now.
Yeah, it's brilliant. And it's one of those things where I'm like, I've been late to everything my whole life. I feel like I finally got ahead of something. So,
you are not late to Bitcoin.
No. And that's what I tell other people too, because that's one of the hardest things to get them to understand is like, you're not late. It feels like it, but you're not. And this is why. Our oldest daughter, she's very, very, very intelligent. And I had said something to her, I don't know, it was a few weeks ago about, how her returns have been or whatever. And she's like, well, since I got into this or whatever, it was like, I'm up like 15.5%. And I'm like, yeah, that's cool. This is what inflation's done actually over the same period.
Sure.
You've actually lost money. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, I don't care what that number says. Like, your value of every dollar is less, more than it's up that 15%. So, like, you're going down despite it. And I think she was just kind of like, But then a few days later, because I've been seeing a lot of these, I was talking to her just about, think about it like this. Your house, the average house, just 2 years ago, costs, if it's a $300,000 house, Bitcoin was down 15 to 20,000. You're talking about well over 10 to 15 Bitcoin.
Right.
Now, even if you remove take it back down to 65, even then, right, you're at 5 Bitcoin. So like just looking at it from that standpoint is like, what are we doing? How? And I think it does help people understand like, this is the real value that you're losing. Because I still think Bitcoin's underpriced. I mean,
big time.
Very much. Just looking at it like the production to demand, is a supply demand. It's way undervalued. Yeah. And so it's like, if you start pricing stuff in Bitcoin and you look at it that way, it's like, oh my goodness, dude, this is the actual loss of value that we have on our fiat, on the dollar for you, for your energy that you put. Jack Mallers has talked about this, and the way he says it is so, he does such a good job saying it and laying it out there way better than I could. But that's the loss of the value of the time you put in.
That's right.
To get that dollar in the first place. Yeah. And like that's your time, that's your energy. That's literally the essence of everything you do every day.
Life is being sucked
out of you.
Yeah.
Just because you're sitting on it, or even giving it back to the system when they put it back in there. It's like, man, just put it into Bitcoin. Just put it into Bitcoin.
Yeah.
And I've gotten to where basically that's all I invest in MicroStrategy and Bitcoin.
Sure.
That's it.
That's all I'm in.
Well, it's really sad, right? Because you're talking about people's like lives and well-being. I mean, it's sad because, and if you study history, this happens throughout history.
Right.
And inflation, if you're not aware and educated in what's happening, you're gonna suffer from it. Right. And it's hard to talk to people about too, right? Because
we're so fixated on how life is for us, right? And we think of things, we say stuff, oh, that was a long time, or that was a long time ago, whatever. Well, we're stupid. Like, we are here for the blink of an eye. That's it. And like, you can go back to freaking, I don't remember how long ago it was, a couple of years ago, a dude died. You could trace his grandfather, I think, was alive back in like pre-Civil War times. Wow. And it's like, dude, that's how far removed. We're not that far removed. I mean, you're talking 4 or 5 people back to like Thomas Jefferson, literally. And so what we consider a long time, and things are the way they have, look how long they've been that way. The monetary system we live in right now is 50 years old.
Mm-hmm. That's right.
That's it. Yeah. It's not even as old as my parents.
About,
Yes. Yeah. It's crazy. And so when would they sit there and they think we're nuts because like, this is going to change. Yeah. We got evidence that you can point at to show it's going to change. Right. What evidence do you have that things are going to stay the way they are? None. You have zero evidence of that. Zero.
Yeah, and I'll tell you guys, this is a cool thing. If you want to see like evidence of this and like destruction of currency, go to a coin expo that comes to your town or city. If you're a Bitcoiner, go to a coin expo, okay? I went to the Denver Coin Expo last fall, and you can go and see literally like thousands of currencies, coins, etc., from just the last several hundred years of history. Yeah, and these guys know more about money than anybody. I mean, they will tell you, and they're aware of Bitcoin, but it's really fascinating. You really want to see evidence and understand this, go look at all these different currencies throughout history from all these countries. They're gone. Yeah. They're worthless. Yeah. They're historic artifacts now.
Right.
It really gives you the perspective on how this can happen and what does happen.
Right.
So talking about, we took Dirty Coin on the film festival circuit. We've talked a bit about, Bitcoin as a strategic reserve asset. Actually, Poland just recently announced that they're going to look into using Bitcoin as a strategic
wow. That's
asset.
Freaking awesome.
How cool is that? Yeah, so I want to give a little shout out to Poland because Dirty Coin, right here, I got the shirt,
Oh,
we
dude.
actually, how cool is the artwork, man?
Yeah, no, right? I do love that.
It is cool.
Yeah. It'd be really cool if we had one of those shirts.
I'll see what I can do for you guys.
All right. You know somebody.
I know some people. We premiered at the Bitcoin Film Festival. It was the first Bitcoin Film Festival in Warsaw, Poland. Happened this last April, and part of that was a European halving party. Yeah. And I just want to shout out to the Bitcoin Film Festival in Poland because
that's awesome.
Man, Poland in Europe, they're like our equals in freedom.
Guys,
they're the freedom fighters, and it's good to see Poland taking a look at Bitcoin. And the folks who started Bitcoin Film Festival there, I think they're onto something great with that. There's several hundred people there, and it's the first one, right? And it's small, but there's some great little films there, just about different stuff happening in Bitcoin from all over the world. Right?
Dude, we need to
bring this to the U.S.? Can we
Bitcoin Film Festival to the U.S.?
American edition.
I can connect you to the folks there. They might want to keep it in Poland. In Warsaw.
Maybe, but they can come too.
Yeah.
Well, we'd have them there.
Yeah.
But they'd probably be cool, man. Bitcoin's all about decentralization.
I'm just thinking how cool that would be to do something like that in the States.
Yeah.
If we can promote more and more stories.
And content. It's just more
content and media around Bitcoin. I mean, that's the best way to educate people, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure, man. I mean, Russell's been doing a lot. Russell O'Kinn's been doing a lot of content lately on athletes getting paid in Bitcoin, right?
Yeah.
He's out there flexing on everybody every day.
He is right now.
Yeah, just freaking.
They left.
Yeah, right. Yeah, they laughed at
Making
me.
my money.
Yeah. I love it, man. It's good. So, but yeah, dude, thank you for coming, man.
Oh,
it was fun. It
this
good to
was
see you,
super fun.
too.
It's good to see you guys.
Yeah.
Keep killing it in the mining space. I mean, just, you know, for people who don't know, like this guy has put together so many mining deals. Like, I mean, what do we have? What do we have? He's like super humble, but like,
Don't make his head any bigger than ideas.
Sarah's in back there agreeing with Jake.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I appreciate I wish we could have got done with Merkel, man. I felt like we were close a couple times.
yeah, we were close. That's okay. I have other pursuits I'm happy to be a part of and can impact the space in other ways.
Dude, you never know. See, it might come around and be like the great opportunity that pops up. So
That's right.
know.
There you go.
Yeah,
Jake's got stuff he's working on now. Probably would have never thought he was going to do that a year ago.
cool.
Never say never.
I don't know. See, he's gonna be doing some mining stuff.
I
So,
love it.
but yeah, good show. Glad people hopefully listen. All 8 of them.
I love what you guys are doing. You know, it's early. Like, I think people are going to have to understand more about mining here in the near future. And I think it's going to become more of the conversation, right? As governments get involved and be like, well, this is bad for the environment. Well, we got to actually look at that.
Yeah,
you know?
right,
So-
right. And that's where the movie's going to play a big role. There's not a movie I think that does a better job of laying things out and doing it in a fair way and letting everybody have a voice. And it's like, that's, I mean, I don't see how you can argue with it after you watch that movie.
Yeah.
So.
Like and subscribe, baby. Go look up Dirty Coin.
DirtyCointhemovie.com.